Proclamation of the Holy Gospel according to St. John.
Glory to you, Lord.
Jesus said to his disciples, I tell you most solemnly, ask anything you ask for from the Father, he will grant in my name. Until now you have not asked for anything in my name. Ask and you will receive, and so your joy will be complete. I have been telling you all this in metaphors. The hour is coming when I shall no longer speak to you in metaphors, but tell you about the Father in plain words. When that day comes, you will ask in my name, and I do not say that I shall pray to the Father for you, because the Father himself loves you for loving me, and believing that I came from God. I came from the Father and have come into the world, and now I leave the world to go to the Father. The good news, the gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
My dear brothers and sisters, I have a friend who is an Anglican priest, and he has a brother who was a devoted Anglican, and the brother left and went abroad to Canada. And being a devoted Anglican himself, he looked for a church. One of the first things we devoted people do, we faithful souls, is anywhere we go, we look for a church. And so his brother went looking for an Anglican church. And he discovered an Anglican church close by, and he went to Mass there in that church. But his experience was not a happy one. He went to the Mass. It was essentially a white Canadian congregation, and they paid him very little mind because he is a stranger here, a foreigner, and also a dark-skinned man. So he was not happy after that encounter. So he decided that he will try somewhere else on the next Sunday. So he discovered another Anglican church, and he went there. And he was happier because he felt more comfortable. There was a variation of color. You had people of different colors that were there. And some people were a bit friendly to him, and then he came back home. And on the third occasion, he actually discovered another church, and he decided to visit that church. It was not an Anglican church. And when he went to that church, people welcomed him from the door, from the entrance of the church, took him inside and had him seated, and they made him feel welcome, answered a few of his initial questions. And then after the Mass was finished, the service was finished because it was not an Anglican church, the people took some time afterwards to talk to him, and they spent a few minutes making themselves known to him, asking him questions about himself, about if he is married, wife, children, and so on. And he felt very welcome, and they told him, please come back. Don't let this be the first time, but come back to us. We will be happy to have you. And so he went home and he thought about that, and he visited the church a second time. And then sometime after that, his car broke down, and he did not turn up for service at that church. And so what did the people do? Since he had left his name and telephone number, they contacted him, and they asked, and they said, we have not seen you in church for a while. What is the problem? Can we help? And he said to them, you have not been seeing me at church because my car is broken, and so I have to travel to come to church, and if I have to go anywhere else, I have to travel. And they said, well, why didn't you tell us something like that? Surely we could help. And so they got his address and so on, And the next Sunday, they went and they picked him up at his house, and they brought him to the church. And afterwards, they said to him, "Look, we want to tell you something. You said your car is broken, it will take a time to fix. So I want to let you know that if ever you have to go to the doctor, if ever you have to go to the supermarket, just call us. We will come. We will take our cars and we will come. We'll pick you up, take you to the supermarket, take you to the doctor, and any other family needs you have, we will try and assist you." So my question is, which church is he worshiping at now? Is he worshiping at the first church? Is he worshiping at the second church? Or is he worshiping at the third church? And I think the answer is obvious. He is worshiping at the third church. Why? Because as we are told in the first reading from the Acts of the Apostles, they took an interest in him. And so often we say we proclaim the gospel, my dear friends, but we do not take an interest in people. They took an interest in him. And some years ago, perhaps 2 years ago, when we had the parish discussion in our parishes about the 6 pillars, the discussion that came first, the first concern among the pillars was parish. And practically all parishes, and we have 61 parishes, practically all parishes said that our 61 parishes need to improve greatly on hospitality. And do not think I'm bad talking my diocese, because when we read about what is happening in other dioceses in different parts of the world, in North America and so on, the answer is the same, that our Catholic parishes are lacking in hospitality. They do not take an interest in people sufficiently. We have the experience in many parishes, or in several parishes, people might be waiting for a ride home, but nobody is asking, because everybody is leaving the churchyard and the glass in the car is all wound up. And so they cannot see who is inside, and who is inside, I suppose, can see them to some extent. And so because of that, we have that big interest in hospitality. We have that big interest in a new hospitality drive. And that is becoming very important, because we hope we will open our churches soon. And what will be our spirit when we come back? Will we just be grateful for the Holy Eucharist that we will share? Or will we take an interest in people in addition to taking in a part in the Eucharist, in which we have been starved for some time? But I don't think we can ever celebrate Eucharist properly. We can believe more than anybody else Jesus is present in the Blessed Sacrament, but if the pastoral does not show up, if we do not take an active interest in people, make them feel welcome, that this is the house of God, whether you are single, whether you are married, whether you are divorced, whether you are divorced and remarried, whether you are gay or straight, whether you have tattoos on your hands or not, it is God's house, and therefore we must take an interest in people when they come and welcome them into God's house. And I think that good mothers, as I remember my own mother today, good mothers have done that. They have taught us not to be overly selective and so on. They have asked us to be generous and open-minded and welcome others. And mothers also, all good mothers, take an active interest not only in their children, but in each particular child, because every child has a different need. And so as we read this gospel today, my dear friends, and as we think of reopening soon, let us ask Almighty God to live the joy, the welcome, the spirit of hospitality we see offered to that Alexandrian Jew by the name of Apollos. And we usually associate the name Apollo with strength. Let us pray that the mark of the reopening of all our churches will be marked by that spirit of hospitality and welcome, in which, as the Bible tells us, everyone is a firstborn citizen.